everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another fantastic episode of the Creatives Podcast. I am one of two co-hosts, Simone Campbell.
And I am two of two co-hosts, Tevin Brown.
And today we have on some special guests. They are local founders of a local film collective, highlighting documentary artists, creatives of all forms and backgrounds, different art styles. Thank you so much for being here, Shiloh and Luis.
Thanks to you for having us.
Absolutely. Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to compliment your styles. You were both looking so
so
fine today. So fresh. First, starting a little bit about the film collective that you've created, especially we were talking a little bit while we were off camera about your recent partnership with PBS officially. It's very exciting. Tell us a little bit about the inception.
So it started as a transformative space for belonging and transformative justice through the power of storytelling through film. Mm-hmm. And we really, there's a lot of reasons why we're doing what we're doing, but if I had to narrow it down, I would say it's about narrative sovereignty. So many times documentaries are made about people that are not experiencing it. So putting the microphone and the camera in the hands of the people who have the lived experience, so it's buy-in for those folks. There's an authenticity that happens. There's a vulnerability, there's a truth that happens in that way. And then also tied to that is putting a human face on social issues that are important for New Mexicans. And with the election and everything that happened, we were thinking, what can we do right now to take care of each other, to build understanding, to build bridges, to create the kind of change that we want to see. And both of us are super passionate about storytelling and film, and bringing people together to have conversations. So the nonprofits and the activists and the artists and the filmmakers and the folks who are experiencing it all come together in one place to talk about that, so that we can actually create a narrative that is different than the one that we see right now, that is stereotypical, inaccurate, or sometimes even censored. The lived experience is denied, period. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different avenues for this transformative justice through the power of storytelling. This is our way of doing that.
That is beautiful.
That is so incredible. Oh my goodness. And I guess the easiest way to ask this question is, how did you guys meet? Did you guys meet at this piece's conception, or?
Yeah, so we both, I worked at the Film Prize Junior, which was a mentorship program for middle school to high school students. Nice. And NHCC, the National Hispanic Cultural Center, was facilitating just space for that program. Ultimately, we ended up doing the film festival there for the students, but I met Shiloh through NHCC, and we had a mutual friend and was mutually talked about in the same space, and you should meet him on both ends. Finally, when we did, we realized we had very similar goals, and we wished we could facilitate them with the space and time that we had, but ultimately, leaving both programs, NHCC and Film Prize Junior, we still stayed connected and we still wanted to work together. So this was a great avenue for that. And it started really small. It started with a very small crowd in a social club. And then it kind of blossomed from there to West, studio at West, and now Fusion Arts Hub, which houses us for now until the end of our program.
Fantastic. Yeah, Fusion is wonderful. It's such a great collective for creatives. And that kind of leads into my next question. What kind of stories do you like to highlight? And what kind of stories have you highlighted up to this point that really stuck with you and left an impact?
So our original film was called Hummingbirds, and it's about queer resistance as joy, and queer joy as resistance. And it's talking about, multiple layers, right? So coming of age story, being on the border of Texas and Mexico, and figuring out what to do during that time. And actually my friend was the mentor from the Bay Area, was the mentor of the two filmmakers, which was really cool in that way. It's a very small community when you're telling authentic stories, and you're not part of the narrative filmmaking capitalist machine, I'll call it.
Accurate.
And so that was our first film, and then in April,
You did Song of the Butterflies.
Yes. So that one is about an indigenous painter who leaves the Amazon and leaves home and tries to make it in the capital, and then ends up coming back. And also layered within this is like the legacy of settler colonialism and genocide, attempts at genocide, and resistance and resiliency, and how important art is for our survival, not as some high art, extra thing, but actually a part that keeps us wanting to be alive despite our situation. I think that was a really interesting aspect of it. And then we did 3 shorts in May.
Right. I can't remember the names, but they were all differing stories. One was about quilting, and it was across America with Navajo women from the East Coast. And then the second one was about somebody that was incarcerated for a long time and reinvented themselves through gardening and social practice in, I think, New York?
No, it was in Oakland.
In Oakland,
I knew
in
the
Oakland,
place.
right. And then the last one was a scientist who collapsed from a very high, I think she was like tree climbing or something, and then found out that her studies as a scientist were attributed to the same things that she was going through with her body. And so there was a lot of, what's really interesting with each sort of film is that we find out new ways to sort of communicate with community members within the film industry, but people who work in the film industry, who work in the arts, or people who work in nonprofits. And what we found pretty relatively early is that all the nonprofits, all the film media, arts people didn't really talk to each other. So this was a great way to sort of connect that, bridge that space that wasn't usually, they didn't have a place to occupy. They didn't have a place to sort of go and all talk to each other. And then really what we found is that the panel sort of opened discussion for everybody else to get involved with, not just the topics, but what the people were doing too, with the panelists that we had. So yeah, that's been a great success, I think, is that we've been able to connect people overall.
Yeah, in June we were featured in PBS's national newsletter for Things We Do Not Dare, which is about a trans woman in a tiny town, in a coastal town in Mexico, and she comes out in the film live to her family. And and we have the Transgender Resource Center, Law Center as our member, Casa Q, which is doing really great things, and a fabulous non-binary filmmaker too. So we always have somebody in the film industry plus someone doing the work around it, and gathering resources for people. In July, Fire Through Dry Grass, which was about COVID and what happened on Roosevelt Island. And so the guys in there who were residents of that space, and how they were quarantined and separated for over a year. It was like 385 days or 89 days. Yep. And one of them was a filmmaker, and they filmed the whole thing on their cell phones. And they used Zoom to have a filmmaker mentor who helped them to get the story out, because they were telling lies in New York about what was happening at nursing homes, right? And nursing homes lives matter, and who lives at nursing homes, and all of that sort of thing. So every film that we've shown defies the one-dimensional or two-dimensional perspective of humanity, and shows like the full spectrum of that. And then last Thursday, we just showed Landfall, which is about Hurricane Maria, and also disaster capitalism and what happens, and the developers coming in, and the history of the Taino people there, and like being a colony of the United States, and the debt and all of this human-created disaster that happened after the climate. And that was the real disaster. So kind of telling the truth about that. And we had a great historian who was fantastic there too, an actress and intimacy coordinator too, and then we had somebody from the Brown Beret. So we really branch out with who we invite to have the conversation, and these folks may have never talked to each other before that night.
Wow.
Right. Yeah, and I think ultimately too is what's so special about it too is that there are all themes that we as New Mexicans see or go through. So we curate this as a sort of, this is happening already in New Mexico. It seems like a really distant, far thing that is happening elsewhere in the world. But when we bring these panelists in, we are able to sort of go, well, no, this is happening here in this sort of aspect. And so people like Hilario, our historian from the last panel, was a great way to sort of interconnect that for our audience. And they stay not just intrigued, but they want to have that conversation afterwards, which is, I think, what we want to do ultimately every single time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Start and bridge conversations.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
No, that's absolutely incredible. And it was something you had said at the beginning, which I always think is so beautiful. I don't know if a lot of people know the term FUBU, where it's for us, by us. And that's genuinely like what it feels like, that not only you've cultivated, but just grown into such like a beautiful thing to put forth the conversations that I feel like so many of us either don't know we need to have, or certain groups try to not let us have. And I think that's absolutely incredible. And I know prior to the cameras turning on, we were also talking about you recently, I don't know if it was a partnership that you guys recently created with PBS New Mexico, or what piece was going on there, but to help kind of spread across New Mexico, what was going on with that, I guess, is a better description than what I just gave.
It was very fresh conversation we just had.
Yeah.
Today, yeah. I think the conversation, the partnership that we have with them is that ultimately, because we go through their catalog, they are officially now in collaboration with us. So we use the PBS has what they call a POV documentary series, and it is all sort of mostly based on a narrative sovereignty. And so we've gone through that catalog, and mostly we went through it because it was free. It's a free, anybody can access it, anybody can go and do it themselves. But what we really wanted from it was to be able to funnel it as a community like space, event. And so they've been able to see what we've been doing, and they appreciate how we're going about it, because it's all within the spectrum of not just education or entertainment through film, but ultimately that we are touching on broader landscapes here. And ultimately, with space like Fusion and other people that we've been able to partner with, we'd like to expand. We'd like to go to Santa Fe. We'd like to go to Las Cruces. But we like our home base for now. And so as we go along and we build a bigger team, hopefully we can get there.
Yeah, and you know, what I love about New Mexico PBS and the folks over there is that they're also committed to truth-telling and community building. And you know, I come from a background of TRHT, Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. So what that means is you do a lot of time having conversations with people, and from multiple perspectives, and to figure out what it is that we need to move towards healing. And you can't have any healing unless you tell the truth first. And there's a lot of missed opportunities to tell the truth right now, and that has been very suppressed. And so it feels like, and also I just want to give a shout out to Dennis at Fusion. I mean, he's super generous, and they're so great over there as a team. The multidisciplinary aspect of Fusion fits perfectly with the multidisciplinary aspect of what we're trying to do with Sanctuary Cinema. So it's like both of these partnerships are, like, in my opinion, matches made in heaven, because we're speaking the same language. And there's a lot of times you know, I'm older than I look, 50. And and so I've done a lot of work with nonprofits, and I've done a lot of community organizing. So I've had a lot of experience in this realm. And I was a former public high school teacher for 16 years. So I know how to be deciphering now at this point. And so I just feel super grateful and humble to be working with Louise, and also working with Fusion, working with Andrea over at New Mexico PBS. Like, it just feels like such a good fit, and it's so smooth, and it just fits. It's unique in a lot of ways, I feel like. And I don't know if that's also an aspect of who we are and who they all are, but also the time that we're in. But it's the ease, despite the grit of what we're talking about right now and the necessity and the intensity of it. You know, we're the ones we've been waiting for, and we're all coming together, and it just feels really, like I have goosebumps.
I can see them from here. Oh, I love that. And something that's giving me goosebumps, I think, throughout this conversation is this idea of, authenticity and honest expression and liberation. And that's really, it seems like it's at the heart of your mission. And my question to you is, what do you think is the artist's role / responsibility in truth-telling and also in, like, liberating stories?
You want to go first? You want me to?
Go ahead.
I've got this down.
Yeah,
I was
like, I know you're ready.
So I've been a social practice artist. I started out as a photographer when I was 15, and I turned the counselor's bathroom at my public high school into a dark room because we didn't have one in 1990. Anyway, and so I started out thinking, if we just document what's happening, if we just photograph it, like, it'll stop. And then Rodney King happened, and that was filmed, and still the justice didn't happen. And so I come from this background of, like, disillusionment with photography specifically. So then I was like, film, because it tells the whole story, it has sound, and you can really draw people in. And then I figured out that is also part of, settler colonialism, capitalism, patriarchy, all these things. And so it's not certain stories are told and certain stories are funded and certain stories aren't. And then I started believing that and going to a movie isn't going to change how you feel. It might change how you feel for the moment, but it doesn't have a lasting impact unless you integrate it into your life and you feel it in your body. So then I started doing somatic work and social justice in that way, and sort of what I call wellness reparations, where it's talking about wellness is something that is deserving of everyone, and pleasure as a healing modality for everyone, and not just rich people who are white-bodied, who can disappear for a week and not have to do any responsible things, right? So how do you integrate that into your body, and how do you stay in your body when you've experienced trauma, repression, oppression, and that sort of thing? And so all of that is to say, like, I believe the artist's role is to imagine another world and then start creating it, whether that's through film, through conversations, or what I like to do into interventions and installations where people practice and have these embodied experiences with the media and with the ideas so that they can change how they be and not just what they think, and the choices that they make, and understanding the consequences of that. And so to me, the role of the artist is to imagine a better way and then create it in community, not from your own individual experience, but from listening and having conversations and really integrating the multi-layered intersectionality of the experience, whatever the issue is. I hope that answers.
Of course,
yes. Beautiful.
I'm integrating that answer. I'm like, yes.
Like, I've done, like, performance on the street with a bullhorn and a trench coat, and I've done, like, I've written a manifesto and all kinds of stuff. And, 30 years ago, in my 20s, I was pretty angry. Now, I'm more interested in love as the answer, and Bell Hook's idea of the love ethic, which is the practice. Loving is a practice. It's not a feeling. It's how you show up, how you tell the truth to the people that you care about, and mutual aid and those sorts of things. So it's really about imagining, creating, and then producing those experiences for folks, and a different way of thinking. And we're not alone. Like, I think that's another reason why Fusion and New Mexico PBS are so all about it right now, all about sanctuary cinema. They understand the layers and the depth of this conception of what we're trying to do here in Albuquerque.
Absolutely.
Right.
And over the whole state eventually. Las Cruces,
hopefully,
Santa Fe, Taos, even Shiprock. Like, we're ready to go to the whole state eventually.
And I'm sure the rest of the state is ready for it. It definitely needs it.
Oh, that's incredible. And I guess feel like we fly through episodes way too fast. We need to start pitching hour-long episodes. But as we're starting to round out, I know you guys just had an event this past Thursday. Do you guys have anything else coming up as well?
Yeah, so September 25th at Fusion Arts, we'll be having our next screening, which is called The Last Out. It is about Cuban immigrants trying to make it into the MLB and the exploitation that sort of happens with that. I think Cuba is a particularly resonant part because there are a lot of Cuban baseball players, athletes that come through that sort of system, and I don't think a lot of that is talked about. But we do have a sort of acute angle in the sense that we have teams like Isotopes and NM United who have maybe different systems than the rest of the U.S. Based on academy and bringing that up. So we definitely want to sort of highlight every sort of topic that we have here in New Mexico, not just the minor, very major things that we go through as a state and as people, but even the small things I think are good to sort of highlight. But yeah, no, 25th of September, we'll start at 6 p.m. and then we'll be serving dinner at 6 p.m. and then screening at 7 p.m.
And everything is free.
Yes.
Thank you, New Mexico PBS and Fusion, as a result. So come have some free dinner with us and some conversation. And then in October, we'll be showing Bulls and Saints inside. So the 25th is an outdoor screening.
Oh, awesome.
That's why it starts at 7 because of the sunset. And then in October, November, we'll be inside because of the weather. And we'll start the screening at 6:30. So dinner will be 5:30 and we'll do that. And then we're showing a couple of animations, The Boat People and Aurora Sunrise in November on the 20th. So it's on a Thursday every time. Mark your calendars, come through. We're going to take December off, and then we'll let you know what January looks like when we get there, or when we get closer.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And how will we find out that information? How can we find you?
So Sanctuary Cinema on Instagram.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, it's Sanctuary Cinema NM.
Okay.
Is our Instagram, and then if you want to email us, you want to be a part, you're a local filmmaker and you have a short that you want to show before or after that's a documentary, and you're an independent filmmaker that has narrative sovereignty, that the stories you're talking about, hit us up. Our email is nmsanctuarycinema@gmail.com. So we love that. Check the Fusion website because they also host, like they'll show the trailer of the films we're showing and the schedule and all of that kind of stuff too. So you can check out fusionnm.org too for information, and eventually it'll be on New Mexico PBS in part of their newsletter too. So sign up to subscribe to them and we'll do it that way.
Yeah.
So lots of ways to get in touch. Don't be shy.
Yeah, get in there, guys.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And one of my favorite questions, whether it's a bullet point, paragraph, one sentence, what is some advice you have to any up-and-coming creator of any age, of any kind of avenue?
Can I take this one?
Yeah, you go.
There's this great quote I heard a while back, but it's one of my favorite. And it's, I think with filmmaking, a lot of us always want to vainly be the center of the spotlight. And I think we always want to be there and show who we are and what we did and all of that. But you don't get to do that alone. I think as a filmmaker myself, I've sort of experienced the best sort of enriching place to be is amongst others, always. So I think my favorite quote is, you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together.
Absolutely. Community. And it takes a village.
Yep.
And I think too, for me, what I've learned, you know, as a creative I've been creating for 35 years, is that it's the truth. Like, tell your truth, don't tell someone else's. And again, as a social practice artist, I am interested in community. I'm not interested in the individual, like I'm not interested in selling my photos or my collages or whatever, my performances for thousands of dollars. I'm interested in creating the world we want to live in and be the ones that we're waiting for, and being in your purpose and really doing that. And you can't do that quickly. That's another thing with somatics, right? Is like you have to slow that down so that you can be authentic and genuine with it. And if you're rushing, you're leaving, you're missing, you're not present. And that's where I think a lot of problems in the speed up too of just like capitalism gets us every time.
Every time.
And so taking the time to have this conversation, feeling like you're not alone, being in a collective, it may take longer, but it's so much richer. And I don't want to do anything alone anymore. And I think even the most introverted person needs a pack, even if it's just two people. So, you know, showing up for each other, showing up for yourself, slowing down, and being full of purpose and reflecting. Like, you're never going to be perfect, and we always have an opportunity to learn. So when things happen and you make a mistake, it's like owning that and it doesn't mean you're a bad person. Like, I think so many times people are they don't want to admit that when they screw up, and we all mess up. Being a human is a messy, messy thing. And so the way you clean up that mess, or you compost that mess, or what I like to call alchemizing it, is in community together when you tell the truth about when things could have been better and how can you make it better next time. The only way you get there is if you think about it first.
Intentional.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're super intentional, and then you look at the impact. So here's my intention and here's the impact. Are they aligned? Is there a gap? How do I get closer? How do I get them closer together?
Yeah.
How do we do better every time? And that is like, I guess our motto. Like, if you want to go far and you want to go deep, you go together, and you don't leave anyone behind.
Nope.
We're not canceling anyone, even if you make a mistake, because we all are going to make a mistake. So we're not cancel culture, and we're not leaving anyone behind, and the boat is big enough for all of us. Like, that's what we fully believe.
I'm so moved by the spirit of openness of your mission, of you as both as individuals, and that especially really resonated with me. I think that's fantastic. You mentioned one story that you or somebody who inspired you was a returning citizen, somebody who had been incarcerated for a while, and that's my day job. I work with people just returning from prison, helping them get integrated. Everyone who is employed by us is a peer, formerly incarcerated. Everyone on my leadership team was formerly incarcerated, and I'm so inspired and so moved by like second, fourth, eighth, 12th chances, because I think that too often we pursue punishment as the answer instead of redemption, and who are we to make those decisions?
And punishment doesn't transform anyone.
No, absolutely.
And it just causes more harm for
keeps you
everybody,
stuck.
right? And it doesn't investigate the root cause, because being poor is a crime here. I'm a former PIC, prison industrial complex, and the organization that Soul in the Garden is about planting justice, which hires formerly incarcerated folks to garden and do landscaping in East Oakland, deep East Oakland, which was a food desert before they got there. Before Planting Justice got there, right? So they have farmers markets and they do all kinds of things. And the healing that happens when you work with the land and with earth and those sorts of things too. And again, we don't give up on anyone.
Because no one deserves that.
Yeah, because we all make mistakes, and some people have protections when they make a mistake and they never deal with the consequences. And some people have never even been given an opportunity. I'm a first generation college student and I have a master's degree now, right? On both sides of my family. That's huge. So again, without opportunity, I wouldn't be here, right? And so it's like, it's also your responsibility once you have that privilege and those opportunities to share that with everybody, to take care of everybody.
It is.
As a kid, when my dad, we'd lose electricity, or like food stamps, all of that, he would still have friends living with us because they didn't have anywhere else to go. Like, we shared everything, regardless of whether we had very much to share in the first place, And he went to prison too, and he passed away when I was 17. So there's a lot of experiences I've had that I've been able to metabolize, compost, alchemize, whatever, because of community. You don't live your life alone.
No.
Thank you guys so much for sharing, and thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Of course.
Yes. And come out.
Yes.
Diffusion.
Yes.
Please, yeah, they're incredible. Yeah, seriously, again, thank you so much, Luis and Shiloh, for being here today. Thank you for everyone tuning in. I hope that you leave this episode feeling as inspired and humbled as I do, as I'm sure we both do. And thank you again so much to the people who are tuning in. Thank you so much to our sponsors, the Studio 519 for the incredible space. And you can also, of course, you can check us out on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. We always appreciate it. And Channel 27, Channel 96, that's going to be Catharsis Media and RM Entertainment, RME Free TV, on your Roku devices, Apple devices.
Your Roku TV devices and
Yes,
Apple devices.
both of them, all of the above. Thank you so much, guys, and have a fantastic morning, day, evening.